Good afternoon and welcome back to the KWMT Power Lunch, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association and powered by the Soybean Checkoff. And today I've got Brad Lundell in studio. Brad farms near Kyron over in Sac County, southern Sac County. And Brad, first off, thank you for joining me here today.
Thanks, Duane. Thanks for having me come in.
You know, I was really excited. Of course, last week I saw you at the Sac County Fair. You were tractor pulling, and Thursday you actually got involved in some co-announcing of the tractor pulls. So, man, I was hoping that you weren't going to lose your voice by Monday, but you looked like you were having a good time.
Yep, it was a good time. It was a long day, and it was fun announcing. Friday, I might have been a little soft, but definitely back to normal and glad to be here.
Well, that happens to everybody. So, again, you farm in southern Sac County near Kyron, and today we're going to talk about pigs, people, and environment, the three principles that Iowa pig farmers don't just say, they demonstrate. And I guess before we talk about that, Brad, share with the KWMT listeners more about your farm. You're over in southern Sac County near Kyron, and talk about your farming operation.
Well, yeah, we do. We live south of Odebolt, between Odebolt and Kyron. I have my wife, Sarah. We've got our 4 kids that are involved with the farm. We have corn, soybeans, as well as we're definitely proud to be Iowa pig farmers.
Absolutely. And as an animal caregiver, Brad, talk about why making sure the pigs are comfortable is so important. I mean, why does that matter?
Well, us Iowa pig farmers, we care for our animals. They're part of our livelihood, and we want to make sure that they have the best care possible we can give them.
Now, pig farmers talk a lot about modern hog barns, and I guess kind of paint the picture, if you would. Explain what that means. I mean, what type of technology is used in those barns today, Brad?
Well, just like everything evolves, you know, I grew up, we had farrow to finish. We finished hogs outside. In the wintertime, we would put boards up to try to limit the air coming in our old barns. And the pigs always were comfortable, but whenever you can improve a situation, it's always better. No doubt, just like cars never had air conditioning years ago, and we all survived, but they do now, and we're better. And we try to take them same principles and apply it to our hogs. You know, there's no doubt heaters and there's individual brooders to keep the pigs warm in the wintertime. Probably the biggest change we've made is the way we can keep the pigs cooler in the summertime.
Right.
They're always in the shade. We've got fans that'll actually create air movement going across them, which will help keep when they're ready for market and they're hot, instead of just laying out and panting, you know, they actually are very comfortable inside the barns.
Yeah, and that really contributes to the health of the pigs too, doesn't it?
They do. You know, they're comfortable. When they're comfortable, they eat. When they eat, they perform well.
And a lot of businesses are making an effort to be more environmentally friendly, Brad, but this is something that farmers, like you talked about, raising pigs in your farm since you were little. You guys have been focusing on that for a long time. And what are some of the things your farm has done to make things better and really make you as a pork producer better stewards of the land, and why it's important to you?
Well, years ago, all the hogs, when you drive around the countryside, they were all outside. And we did the best, I think we all did the best we could to utilize that manure, and we would spread it on top of our ground. Today's, we have our pigs in barns. All the manure is contained. None of it runs off. None of it leaks. And we are able to hold that until fall when we have the manure tanks come in, and we pump it from the barns to the tanks. And when the tanks apply that manure, we're not spreading it on top of the ground where it could run off or leach off. We're actually injecting it into the ground so it's in the soil and has less means to be washed away, so it's better for the environment as well.
And very monitored too, isn't it? I mean, so many pounds per acre. I mean, it's documented and very monitored today.
Yeah, definitely. We run a mapping system on our tanks where we can tell you, it shows exactly when you're going through the field how many gallons per acre you're getting on, because manure is a valuable resource.
Right.
It contains lots of nutrients and fertilizers and minerals, and we don't want to waste it. I don't think any farmer ever wants to waste the manure. They want to get as much covered as they can.
And a lot of people I know get into pork production, and I know you also, the family has turkeys as well, and a lot of times folks like yourself get into pork production and turkey production to utilize that manure and so forth. I mean, use it on your own land.
We do. We look at ways, how can we be good stewards to the land, and how can we be able to use the resources we have, and part of that is fertilizer. Without having to buy commercial fertilizer, we feel like it's a renewable source. You know, we grow the crops, we use the crops to feed the animals. the animals produce waste, and then we're able to use that waste to fertilize our crops again.
And Brad, I know a lot of times we often hear about the Iowa Pork Producers Association or pig farmers in relation to giving programs or service programs in our own communities, and talk about that because community involvement and giving back is so important today to the whole industry, really.
Yeah, definitely. I think any Iowa pork producer is proud to give back to their community and to be involved with different projects, whether it be service projects or fair fundraisers, school events. There's definitely several activities that we like to promote. We like to get our product out there to people and just remind them how good it is, how safe it is.
And one of the things, too, we've seen ramp up lately when it comes to livestock is beef quality assurance and also pork quality assurance. And talk about that because that really comes down to how pork is handled today with the pork quality assurance programs.
There's several different programs that there's in place to make sure that we do a good job. That way all the consumers that are purchasing it, they know that the meat that they get is going to be safe. There's third-party audits. They'll come around and just double check, make sure the pigs are comfortable, make sure the barns are the great satisfactions that they need. Our goal is to deliver the best and the safest product to the consumer that we can.
Yeah, and one of the things, too, it also adds value to the community and so forth, whether you employ folks in the community or give back to the community. I mean, it really comes down to the communities that you guys live in and help promote your product.
We do. Probably one of the biggest things that we like to do, my brother and myself and our oldest son, we like to grill for the kids at school. Every year, usually the last week of school, we work with a couple lockers, and they'll help us out with pork burgers, and we donate the rest, and we'll grill for the kids in the high school just to give them a wholesome, nutrient, locally grown product that we can give back to the community.
Yeah, a lot of times you guys are pretty busy this time of year, too, with fairs and so forth, and I know I will see you here in a couple weeks down at the Iowa State Fair, grilling at the Iowa Pork Tent, and so it's really all about getting out and promoting pork and just enjoying pork, which today is just probably one of the most valued meats and valued proteins there is out there.
It is, and today where everybody's looking at, counting carbs and they're looking at sugar and all these additives, that you have to worry about. That's one thing about pork, there's never ever any hormones added. It's a high quality, high nutrient product. You only cook it to 145 degrees for your pork chops. They're done, they're juicy. It's hard to beat.
Absolutely. And I know one thing, too, you guys take a lot of pride in clean water, clean air, conservation. I mean, it's all part of the mix when it comes to the three principles of the Iowa pork farmer today.
Definitely. Environmental is number one. We got to leave this place better than when we first started. And I think we've made great leaps in pork production and in farming. Just from being able to eject the manure in the ground to having buffer strips along our creeks to no-till. I think the advancements we've made in the last 30, 40 years have definitely contributed to less runoff.
Yeah, and you talked about those buffer strips, and anymore we see a lot more when it comes to edge-of-field conservation and in-field conservation practices. Talk about that a little bit, what you've actually done on your farm in regards to that.
So what we've done in our farm, we have several creeks that run through them, and you can enroll into a CRP program. And what we do is we go in and we seed about 100 foot extra of grass along the creek. That way, if there is, you get heavy rains once in a while. We just had 2.5 inches last night in Odebolt.
Right.
And as that water runs down the hill, anything you can get to slow that sediment down. The fertilizer and everything is injected in the ground, but still you want to prevent runoff. We're not just talking fertilizer. We're talking trying to conserve our Iowa soil. So anytime you can use that nice CRP, that grass, to slow that water down, to slow that sediment, it's going to prevent it from actually going into the creek.
Right, and one of the things, too, I know you guys take a lot of pride in, too, is being good neighbors, and that might mean planting trees and so forth around the hog barns and creating windbreaks and so forth.
Yes, definitely. The first 2 hog barns that we built years ago, I built one right behind my house, and the other one we built right behind my grandparents' house on our home place. We're proud to put them where we live, to show our neighbors that this is something that we want to invest in. And now the other barns we've built, we've tried to build nice windbreaks around them, not only for the air quality, but just it looks nice when you can have a nice windbreak around them as well.
Yeah, you talked about giving back to the community, grilling for the kids' classes and so forth at school, but I know Iowa pork producers give a lot to food banks around the state of Iowa, and we've really seen some really neat programs being developed at county fairs and so forth of Bacon Buddies, which has absolutely taken off. And of course, I know you support 4-H and FFA, and like you said, grilling events, and I do know too that the Sac County pork producers stepped up too during some severe weather activity that we had, the flooding up in northwest Iowa, and also the tornadoes and so forth. So it's not uncommon to see you guys out and about, not only on local boards and so forth, but really getting out and giving a hand to those that need a hand.
Well, no doubt, any of us Iowa pork producers, we're there to help out. And whenever there's tragedy or a disaster, you look at the floods up in Spencer, you look at the tornadoes down in southern Iowa.
Right.
Everybody got together and they go and they focus, like, how can we help? And resources come in, and everybody wants to be a good friend, a good neighbor, and help those in need.
Now, Brad, we talked about a lot of different things here, but, it all comes down to animal welfare, and there's a lot of research dollars go into that, because there's no doubt you guys want to do the best job that you can.
We do. In raising pork, it's our livelihood. Our livelihood is on the line. We do it because we enjoy it. We love taking care of the animals. We love the whole process. It's just a part of farming that we enjoy, and we always want to strive to do the best we can.
Yeah, 100%. Hey, Brad, as you wrap up here, anything else you want to add before I let you go today?
I don't think so. I appreciate the time you let me come in, sit down here in the famous KWMT Duane Murley studios.
Well, I don't know about famous, but it's my little cubby hole during the week. So
no, I sure appreciate the time coming in, and we'll be down for the Iowa State Fair. We're on the Iowa Pork Tent Committee, and we have a great time. Grilling for everybody. It's fun to have them walk through, and the guys that come and they want the pork chop on a stick, or
right.
Somebody's they know they like that Iowa chop.
Oh, it's all a big hit down there. But before I let you go, before the Iowa State Fair, you're going to be at the Albert City Thresherman and Collector Show. I just saw that here a couple days ago. You and your family, I know you run your blood's green. It's not red, it's green, and you guys are going to have a few tractors at the Albert City Thresherman Show. That'll be on August 9th, 10th, and 11th, just west of Albert City on County M54, and talk about what you're going to have on display up there.
Yeah, well, for the Albert City Threshmans this year, the main focus is John Deere, and ever since I was a little kid, Dad's been an avid John Deere collector, and we slowly
capitalize avid.
Yeah, definitely. And then, no doubt, when he saw my brother and I kind of get involved, it recharged his enthusiasm. And we've got a pretty nice collection of what we call John Deere open station tractors.
Right.
They're 4430s, 4240s. The tractors that weren't common around here, because around here they all had cabs on them. Well, these were without cabs, and there's a bunch of other great collectors. And since we're featuring John Deere, we thought, hey, let's put a nice display on. So we've got lots of friends bringing some really nice them open station 4-post tractors up. So if you're around, definitely great to have you stop up there in Albert City and take a look.
Yeah, that'll be the 9th, 10th, and 11th at the Albert City Thresherman and Collector Show. I'll be there that Friday, so I'll get you on the radio. We'll talk about your collection then. But again, Brad Lundell, farms near Kyron, Iowa, over in southern Sac County. And Brad, is always great to see you here today.
Well, I appreciate the time. Thanks, Duane.